Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of May 17th, 2015. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week begins with a new moon. A new moon is always a chance to begin again, to start fresh, to plant seeds, and tends to suggest fresh opportunities. So all of us in at least one area of life are going to get that very chance, are going to get a chance to begin again. Now, this particular new moon is happening in the sign of Taurus. It's happening towards the end of that sign, in the later part of that sign, which means that if you were born in the last 6 days or so of your respective sign, so regardless of what sign you are, if you were born between the 27 and the 23, you are going to be experiencing this, this particular new moon that much more. It will reach a lot more personal level, hit closer to home, but all of us in some way are going to allow ourselves a brand new start and should notice some fresh opportunities showing up for us. What we also have happening the next day, right around the early part of the week, depending on where you are on the planet, right around the 18th, Mercury will go retrograde. Mercury officially going retrograde. Now you want to pay attention to what's happening right around this time because you will return to these issues in the later part of June. So what's happening right now in your life, you do want to pay attention to it because these are the themes that are part of what's been coming up since the early part of May. So right about now, an awareness, a realization, a chance to contemplate, a chance to go over, to reconsider, to reinvent, to re-edit, to do things over again. That's what Mercury retrograde is really, really great for. Mercury retrograde is really great for going over old ground, making sure everything is solid, making sure you like the direction in which you are headed. It's really good for dealing things that you've already been dealing with an eye of a fresh perspective and a deeper perspective at that. So we are now going to get this chance, but whatever themes come up for us now as part of this Mercury retrograde likely have been since the early part of the month, and we actually will be continuing to consider right into the month of June and into the later part of June at that. As we progress towards the middle of the week, now we've got a couple of very interesting conversations, celestially speaking, happening back to back. And I think that these are going to play a really important part in our larger lessons, our feelings, our understandings of ourselves in a lot of ways, where it comes to money, where it comes to love, but also where it comes to our understanding of how to be a grown-up, what's great about being a grown-up and what sometimes being a grown-up requires, which ultimately it just comes down to taking ownership for your happiness. That is the cornerstone of what being an adult is, taking ownership for your happiness and taking responsibility for that, not projecting that or not making anybody else responsible, because when you do that, that ultimately keeps you, at least on a level of psychology, on some level of spirit, keeps us in a level of childhood. We're actually here to grow up and fully become what some people have called individuated, which ultimately I think means becoming you, really becoming you, some you or a you that you've chosen based on what you like about yourself and based on your level of acceptance as well of all that has been and all that you are today. And so what's happening in the sky is really going to help us to further elaborate on some lessons that started coming up for us last week, making sure that those lessons hit us on a level of emotion, on a level of heart, but also on a level of appreciation, on a level of mind as well, and helping us to decide how we're best going to move forward from here. So what's happening in the middle of the month is we've got Venus standing across the sky from Pluto, and then we will have the Sun standing across the sky from Saturn. So if you remember, you might want to watch last week's intro again because I talked extensively about the opposition of Mars and Saturn. So last week, Mars was standing across the sky from Saturn. This week, the Sun is doing the same. And I actually sent out a special newsletter. If you are on my newsletter list through my website, you can join there. But if you're on that list, then I would have sent out last week a special email about this because I think that this is representing an important turning point for a lot of us out there. This is going to be a chance, and actually, as I said, late last week, this energy kicked up. Now we're going to notice a lot of those lessons really hit home in important ways, and we're going to be making very important decisions as well. This ultimately has to do with, on the one hand, passions being stirred very strongly, getting some very strong insights into who we are, what we really want, what we're willing to do for the things that we are passionate about, whether that's a person or a place or a thing or things in general. But this also has to do with understanding that sometimes delayed gratification is what ultimately brings about the greatest happiness. Now, this can also be, not necessarily have to be that delay. This can also be a taste of what is awesome about being an adult, a taste of what is really great, or at least an appreciation of what can be great when you are honest with yourself. And that's a big part of this energy as well. Now, I will admit, Venus standing across the sky from Pluto, not the most honest energy. It's energy that's passionate, that's motivated, that's strong, that has very strong reactions, feels a very strong pull of fate. Whether or not it's ethical, we feel it. We are sort of propelled on some level to want to explore, but how far we go with it, ultimately completely up to us as individuals. I do think that Saturn standing across from the sun is going to keep us in check from going too far and regretting it later. But I also think that this has to do with having an appreciation that, yes, there are certain things that we've earned, but also that there are certain things yet to be. The other thing with this energy is, just like with Mars standing across from Saturn, this can be a projection of our internal parent. So that's what you want to avoid, because when that starts to happen, you're not taking ownership for what you're feeling. And ultimately, how that ends up is we end up feeling like someone else is holding us back or holding us down. Well, that can only happen if we give another person permission to do that. Ultimately, if we are being triggered, if we are having a feeling, which is possible this week, certainly, but if that's coming up for us, ultimately that's pointing the way to our own learning and our own healing as well. And I think, and I have seen this again and again, I think that a lot of times it's easier to project our own insecurities onto other people when the reality is that we are not nearly as important as we think we are in the minds of others. And when you are living from that place of acceptance and bliss and happiness and contentment, an inner sense of contentment, giving yourself what only you can give to yourself, I think that we find, and I think that this week will show, that the outer environment becomes that much more, not only enjoyable, but also that much more easier to navigate as that. The honesty that we have, we're able to fully appreciate the value of it rather than make it about another person at that. So lots of adventurous celestial activities happening this week, especially considering how much learning we're going to be doing through other people and through some very powerful attractions at that. And they may very well be the thing that helps to serve as a catalyst for the big changes and the brand new beginnings that are promised for us this week. But while we're having this new moon, remember, Mercury is retro. Mercury is standing still, going retrograde this week as well. So while there's that promise of new beginnings, there is going to be an element playing out here that says, think things through, reconsider, think about not going in any direction too permanently, and know that if you allow yourself to have that moment of pause, of reflection, that ultimately you'll see your way straight to some very lasting goals that matter to you. Even if they're not here today, we can see how they certainly are attainable in our own individual journey. Well, thank you so much to everybody out there. Truly am so grateful for this moment with you. Love having this time with you. Love our interactions. Please do keep them coming. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com, and of course the YouTube channels as well. You guys have been asking some amazing questions. What I thought I would do, I would invite you to, when you do ask me a question online, use the hashtag AskNadiya. So hashtag AskNadiya, and if you want, you can use the hashtag UWL, which stands for The Universe is Wise and Loving as well. And that way, it's that much more easier to spot because so many interactions have been coming through and I absolutely love it. But I want to be sure that if I can't answer the question immediately, because sometimes I just have like a little bit of time in passing, I give you guys a thumbs up or a like where I can. But sometimes a question is asked and I want to answer it, but I can't get to it right away. I like to make a note of it and return to it. And so, or I'll make an FAQ video about it. And so please do use that hashtag Ask Nadiya. And also the hashtag UWL is one that I check quite a lot as well. And I look forward, I love your interaction so much. Sometimes I'm asked questions that are a little bit more personal, that are a little bit more about your own unique situation. If that is the case, please do consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that. But of course, my hope is with these videos, they do provide you with the omen that you need to remind you that the universe is wise and loving and to infuse your life with a little bit more hope and inspiration and to remind you that there indeed is a place and purpose for you in this universe, which is something that I believe very much. Now, lastly, I want to say I have a couple of events coming up, or at least live appearances of sorts coming up. And the first is Lilydale. So very excited about that. I'm giving a talk at Lilydale on the 19th of August. And so many people have been asking me about that. So excited. Lots of people out there are interested in hearing me speak. Thank you. So grateful for that. And I really hope to connect with you guys out there. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I am offering a few personal consultations on the 20th, on the morning and afternoon on the 20th. I really just have like one spot left. And so if you are interested in having a personal consultation with me, please do contact me through the contact form on my website and we can make that happen for you. Lastly, I do want to say also, like this just sort of, I thought, why don't I do this? I have a lot of friends and fans in Los Angeles, and I had a friend and fan message me the other day and said, if you ever come to Los Angeles, I'd love to have a consultation with you. I hope that that works out. Well, it happens to be that I am going to be in Los Angeles this week. So this week of this horoscope, I will be in Los Angeles, and it will be only on the early afternoon of the 21st. So that's this Thursday that I am going to be making space for a couple of consultations. And so literally, like this person messaged me, it was very synchronistic. And so that is confirmed with that particular person. But I think I will open it up and hopefully get a chance to see maybe two additional people while I'm out there. So if you are in Los Angeles and would like a consultation this Thursday, so the Thursday of this week, the 21st of May, right? The 21st of May. Please do contact me using the contact form on my website. Let us know, and we'll quickly try to make that, confirm that for you and try to make that happen. I'm truly looking forward to it. Very excited. It'll be my first time in Los Angeles, and the astrology suggests it's going to be a space that's really inspiring for me. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope to connect with friends and fans out there as well. So thank you so much. That's the introduction. Thank you so much for sticking it through the introduction. How all this wonderful stuff speaks to you and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week we have got a new moon happening in a decidedly financial part of your sky. So money matters are going to be in focus now, and it's very possible that a new financial opportunity could present itself to you as well, very much to your liking for that matter. But I gotta say, there's such a strong energy this week for all of us that has to do with negotiation, that has to do with balancing different drives, different desires, that it does look like you may not necessarily know how to deal with the changes or the opportunity that does show up for you. Look, it's always your choice, and know that whatever choice it is that you do make, ultimately, there is going to be a little bit of a learning curve. So be prepared for that. Mercury is retrograde this week, begins to go retrograde this week. So be open to the learning curve. But really, it is such a powerful time for all of us, and for you in particular, given that you are coming into this week carrying the energy that took place late last week when your ruling planet stood across Saturn. This week, Venus standing across Pluto suggests to me that you're looking at home. You may be changing homes or wanting to change homes, changing what you understand as home or your place in the world as well. And it may very well be facilitated by, or at least inspired by, moving towards a higher vision of your life, maybe a career vision, maybe just an understanding of life purpose in a bigger sense. Also, what we have happening this week is, because the sun is standing across Saturn, part of an ongoing conversation, needing to be honest, needing to negotiate, and reaching agreements as well. Ultimately, these are agreements that are going to create greater stability in your life now and for a very long time to come. And what I really like about this week is you can see solidly that you are building something. You are working towards building something, starting something now that will build to something solid and secure for a very long time to come. And where it comes to love, all of this can play out very much in the context of love as well, and partnership as well. In fact, it very well might be, for some of you out there, a interaction, a conversation with somebody from your past, from your romantic past, that really helps you to understand where you've been in love and now strengthens your resolve for exactly where it is that you desire to go. Hello, fabulous Taurus. Well, it really is your week. It really is your time. We've got a new moon happening in your sign. You get, or all of us usually get one every year, and this is yours. This is your opportunity. And when I look at this, it suggests to me that you are really coming to a deeper understanding of what you really want to do. What do you really want to do? What do you really want to solidify? You are coming to a deeper appreciation of just that, and from there moving forward. Now, this is about new beginnings, and this is about planting seeds that reach right to the core of you, right to the heart of you, and that touch you on a level of heart as well. So a chance to begin again in your understanding of who you are and start something very important to you. This could be just about anything, and it really is about you being honest with yourself about who you really are, what you really want to do. I got to be honest with you though, what also we have happening this week, a lot of people are going to be feeling like the pressure is on, like they've got to deal with various forces that might or might not always feel comfortable, that they've got to deal with all these other factors that can seem larger than life, or at least bigger than them. And you're not necessarily going to be excluded from that, but what this week will promise you is that through all this, you are going to be redefined in the best possible sense. You will come to understand yourself in a new way and come to be honest with yourself in a new way as well about where it is that you now are ready to start something of your own and start something truly meaningful to you as well. In love this week, lots of us having very strong, very powerful connections that feel very faded, that feel very consequential. That's what Venus standing across Pluto does. And for you, this is happening in a part of the sky that has to do with communications. And it also has to do with, I look at this and it has to do with like sort of messages and online exchanges as well. So it may very well be that there are some really powerful interactions taking place for you in the online sphere. Now, do keep in mind, Mercury is retrograde this week. So how things pan out and whether or not this is something that actually is all that you're expecting it to be is yet to be seen. I do think that there's going to be a need for you to sort of, I just see that an online interaction can, for some of you out there, really get the wheels turning, have you thinking that you're ready to dive in head first, and it is in retrospect that you go, oh, okay. Maybe I didn't appreciate the reality, the whole picture of the situation. So strive to be honest with yourself and strive to see what actually is rather than what you wish it to be. And some of you out there are going to find that the reality far outweighs anything you could have imagined for yourself. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week, the sun will move into your sign. So very big happy birthday month to all Geminis out there, sending you some very positive vibes. And thank you so much for seeing me as some small part of your sacred journey. So your birthday month starts, but it starts with some dose of reality, an important dose of reality. And that is largely because as soon as the sun enters your sign, it begins to stand across from Saturn. Now, what's really good is this is about the most serious that it's going to get, okay? If you are one of those Geminis born in the first 3 to 4 days of your sign, you're going to feel this energy more than others. And in fact, this does suggest a really important year for you of your life where you are going to be, on the one hand, making some very grown-up decisions, deciding who you are and where it is that you haven't been honest with yourself by what you have manifested and how you have been living. And so wherever it is that you've been blaming others, wherever it is that you've been projecting your own, whether it's insecurities, whether it is your own, wherever you wanted to manifest something big and it hasn't come about, this is going to be your chance to take ownership for that and to decide where it is that you need to put your energy now and where it is that you now are ready to decide on the best way forward as you take greater ownership for your happiness. So big year for those of you born in the first couple of days of your sign. But overall, this is a big week for all Geminis out there. So all Geminis out there are going to be feeling this. And it has to do with honesty. It has to do with recognizing where you've been putting what hasn't worked onto other people when really ultimately it is about you deciding what's going to make you happy. Now, a lot of this comes right down to who you know yourself to be. And that's largely because Mercury, your ruling planet, will be retrograde in your sign, in the sign of Gemini. So this is important because this suggests you are rethinking who you are. You are reconsidering your identity, what matters to you at the heart of you, what you've demonstrated of your life so far, and where it is that you're ready to put anything behind you that gets in the way of you expressing something that feels more honest and more true to you. And so there is going to be a need ultimately with some strong feelings coming up for you to balance that. And the way you balance that is to reflect, to go within. But ultimately, I think this is going to work out to be an important time for all Geminis out there, because this is what you need in order to realize just what needs to happen for you to manifest what it is that you most desire. But overall, I also want to say just be really kind and gentle to yourself, especially right about now. It might feel like you're not getting what you want. It might feel like things are less than necessarily desirable. It might feel like people are being a little unfair. It needn't feel like that, but it might feel for some of you out there. And so if that should happen, recognize that ultimately, if buttons are getting pushed, that it's about you. It's not about anybody else. It's all about you, and you can decide how it is that you're going to react. What I also really love about this week for you in the context of love is that the attractions that are taking place right about now are going to be, I got to just put this out there, but I think that if any sign is likely to be sort of influenced by a show of wealth or money, it might just be you. And that might really be uncharacteristic of a lot of Geminis out there. But there is this connection this week taking place between, for you, love and money. And so this can be a time when your feelings just dramatically change about somebody based on a gift that maybe they give you. This can also be a time when love asks you for money, and that in turn leads you to reconsider your whole feelings around a certain situation. So it looks like ultimately this week asks for a lot of patience and a lot of understanding. Be mindful where you're giving, where it doesn't feel right, and where you're giving because this is what situation or this is the dynamic that's been set over a course of time, and where it is ultimately that you have the power to change and where it is that you don't. If you realize those things, you will make an absolute success of this week, making decisions that root you in this moment and allow you to take some tangible actions that are sure to reap some very solid results further into the future. Hello, fabulous Cancer. Well, this week we've got this new moon happening in a part of your sky that has to do with friendship. I spoke about this in the monthly horoscope for your sign, so you will want to watch the monthly horoscope for this month for your sign. But what's also happening this week is Venus in your sign standing across from Pluto. I might have mentioned this in the Love Focused horoscope for your sign. It's an important time, and it is an important week for you in the context of love, in the context of partnership, in the context of understanding where you've been and now what you need if you're going to go forward feeling strong, safe, secure, and solid as well. It's very likely now, I'll be honest, there's very likely now that a very strong attraction might take place, okay? Whether or not it makes sense, whether or not it's smart to pursue it, to continue to walk towards it. There is that strong, distinct possibility playing out now. So if you should be one of those people who sees yourself pulled, especially romantically, towards another person, of course, you always have that option to decide the best way forward. But ultimately what that feeling is saying is that there is a lesson here. Now, for some of you, it's going to be somebody new. It might be a romantic sort of moment between you and a friend that takes place. If it isn't about somebody new, which it most likely will be, but for some Cancers out there, it may actually be sort of a new understanding or sort of a moment of honesty within their current partnership as well, within their current alliance as well. Now, other than this, what we also have happening this week is the Sun standing across from Saturn. To me, this is saying workplace. What do you really want to do? Are you doing what you really want to do? Do you like where you're working, the environment in which you're working? Now, if you don't, and you haven't for a while, you're going to be really honest with yourself about what's not fair where you are. If you want to actually change your job, right, you're going to be more honest with yourself about that as well, and also why. But this can also be changes taking place within the workplace. And I got to be honest, this can also be somebody who's actually like sort of an equal or not that much of a boss, acting like a big boss. And that doesn't seem to suit you very much right about now. And so, of course, it's up to you to decide how to navigate it, what feels right, but it does look like there might be an element playing out here where you're feeling some pressure. Now, if it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel ethical, then you have to decide how you're going to move forward from here, if it's saying something about the work environment in which you're in or not. I have a feeling as I look at this that there might be some Cancerians out there who've sort of settled for or sort of pushed under the rug somebody in the workplace who isn't very nice and acting in ways that are inappropriate, sort of have been pushing it under the rug. And this week it's going to be like, I can no longer ignore this. I can't be around this person anymore. So some Cancerians out there may just be that kind of week where you're like, you know, I don't think I want to deal with this anymore. Goodbye. But all in all, ultimately, remember this week, a lot of this week is about being honest with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself about what works for you and what doesn't, and you make choices from that place, you can't make a wrong choice. But do know, as I say that, Mercury's retrograde. Mercury's retrograde. So you might change your mind, right? Or at least you'll come to see that situation that much differently. Now, if you've tried to leave before, you've convinced yourself not to before, this Mercury retrograde might be just what you need to get that lesson a little bit more deeply, to understand it that much more deeply, and from there, making a choice that truly feels right for you. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week, the new moon happens at the very top of your sky, meaning that it is all matters of career that are highlighted and life purpose. This is about you understanding more clearly what is worthy of achieving, what legacy you want to leave, and what direction is worth going in for you. So it can be a really big week for you as you clarify your direction. Now, keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde, newly retrograde this week, which does suggest that as you're clarifying that direction, you might need to think a few things over. And it might be friends actually that help you in that process of thinking things over, reconsidering your place in the world, reconsidering what you really want to do and what it is that you really want to achieve, what you believe your purpose is. All of this plays a part in how the energy is revealing itself to you this week. Now, what we also have happening is the sun standing across the sky from Saturn, Venus standing across from Pluto. I think that this is going to speak very strongly to a lot of you out there in the context of love and relationships. If you have been involved in or been thinking about or even just flirting with something that ultimately is sort of hidden, okay? Trying to say this nicely, but you know, if you've been doing something sort of in secret that you know hasn't really been right or not really been feeling right to you for some reason, this is going to be a time when you are honest with yourself about what actually is going on. It could be as innocent as a flirtation and nothing more. It could be more. It could be in the context of your current dynamic. If you are behaving in a way in a relationship that you know something isn't right, something isn't working there. You know you could be behaving better. You know that you're doing things that ultimately aren't making you feel very good about yourself. This is going to be a time when you're honest with yourself and you're honest about that. And again, it may very well be a friend that initiates some of that awareness for you, some of that process for you. It does look like, though, in the context of love in particular, it's like I just see some Leos out there saying, you know, why do I keep doing that? I can't believe I keep doing that. Or, wow, how did I put myself in that sort of situation? Or how am I behaving like this with somebody that I care about so much? Like, these are the types of things you may be saying. This is good. This is very good, because this means that you are recognizing where there might be a disconnect between who you are right now and who you want to be, in particular where it comes to love, sharing love, and the feelings that love provides as well. As I look at the sky this week, I also think about how there's an element playing out here that has to do with matters happening sort of in the context of your own heart, your own energy. You're getting a clearer idea of where you want to go in life in just about every area of life. And this in turn is causing sort of a sweeping evaluation all around. For some of you, I do also want to say, for a small percentage of you out there, I might have mentioned this in the monthly horoscopes, but it could be that a friend sort of is the deliverer of some news that you're not so crazy about, especially in the context of love, in the context of relationship. Now, how you choose to interpret that, how you choose to go forward with that, completely up to you. But keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde this week. So Mercury being retrograde does say to me that it could be sort of a misinterpretation of your friend. It could be you're not understanding your friend properly with the intention that they're sending the message. So be patient and kind with all involved right about now, because with Mercury, there tends to be miscommunication. There tends to be not actually messages being taken with the intent that they were sent. And so be patient, be kind, be willing to hear all different sides of a given story. And especially if your friend comes to you with some news that you may be inclined to react to a little bit and say, whoa, okay, how are you bringing this to me? Keep in mind that on the one hand, you may be seeing it a certain way that it isn't, okay? So that's most important, or they may be seeing it a certain way that it isn't as well. So being kind is always, always good advice all around. And especially when it comes to matters of love, matters close to the heart, be especially patient and kind right now, especially if you're dating somebody or developing something. This is going to be that much more needed now. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have got this really interesting energy playing out all around. All of us are learning through other people in powerful ways, and it's all happening under a new moon. Now, this new moon, thankfully, is happening in a very harmonious position to your sign. It's in fellow Earth sign Taurus, which does suggest that you're making the most of new beginnings that are on offer to you now. This could be a chance to travel, to expand your mind, to expand your sphere in some way that does resonate as very natural to you. You'll feel a little bit more in your element. Now, this could be thrown off just a little bit by the fact that Mercury's retrograde, but I actually find that Virgos are one of those signs that personally I found do better under Mercury retrograde than most might. And this is because it's almost as if the natural inclination is, as a Virgo, is to think about things from all these different angles, to constantly being looking at them. The Mercury retrograde helps you access the wisdom. So it's not that all the energy stays so much in the mind, but it's able to sink a little bit into the heart as well. That helps you get to a deeper appreciation and a deeper understanding of yourself, of why it is that you're considering something from all these different angles, but also helps you get in touch with a truth, really, the truth that you need. And ultimately that truth is something that you find, I don't want to say just on intuitive channels, okay? But rather I'd like to say that this is a truth that you can arrive at and come to, knowing that it is relative, knowing that ultimately you're going to perceive what you need to help you find a certain peace with any given situation. So wherever it is that you've been if you've been wrestling with something, trying to figure out how to wrap your head around something. This is a time that's going to ask you to go to heart to find your answers. You add to this the fact that this is happening at the very top of your sky, which suggests to me you're thinking about what you really want to do. You're thinking about your place in the world. You're thinking about your direction that much more clearly. In matters of love for Virgo out there, there is this very passionate energy taking place for all of us, all around. Thanks to Venus standing across the sky from Pluto, this for you is happening in friendship areas of the sky, which suggests to me that this could be a time when when you start looking at a friend differently as a possible romantic connection. This could also be a time when a friend declares their feelings to you as well. But it does look like there is sort of a moment of truth around a friend taking place now that seems to reach right to the heart of you. It's also a good time for you to be thinking about how much it is that you feel that your partner is a friend, and where you feel there is that disconnect. This is going to be a chance for you to strengthen the friendship that you have with your partner. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we have got some really wonderful energy playing out in terms of this new moon happening for you in a financial part of the sky. Now, this particular new moon has to do with what we call other people's money: grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns. We've got this playing out, and it suggests to me, given that we've also got a Mercury retrograde happening, this could be a time when a appeal for a certain funding comes through and works to your advantage. This could be a time when an application you'd put in a whole long time ago now comes up and they say, okay, just fill out this other paperwork and you should be good to go. So it's these types of wrapping up of things that happen. But at the same time, as I said, we've got this new moon happening, and ultimately new moons are fresh opportunities, fresh beginnings. So in some way, if money does show up for you now, it represents a fresh start for you, a new chapter of sorts for you, and a significant change as well. There's something about this part of the sky that is also connected with endings, like endings you make consciously, that is taking place. Now, in other news, we've also got Venus standing across from Pluto. This tells me that things might get a little flirty with a boss. Depends, how you feel about it will really determine how you want to move forward from there. But things are going to get a little flirty with a boss. But all in all, putting that to aside, that is a possibility. But I also think that there is another layer of the way that this energy can manifest. And this is about you sort of wanting or having something to prove, having it connected to finances in some way. So it might be that a part of you feels that you want to be making more money or should be making more money. There's a determination to see something through right about now, to achieve something that you hope will create greater prosperity for yourself as well. So it's like the pressure is on under this particular energy taking place as well. And so my advice would be, whenever I see like the pressure is on, do your best, surrender the rest. This becomes that much more pronounced given the sun is standing across from Saturn right now. So all of us in some way are going to be feeling sort of the tenderness of time, if you will. So meaning all of us are going to be realizing that there are things that we want to do, and there's a certain time to do them and a certain time not to do them, and to take the full advantage of this moment right now. So responsibility, that energy of being responsible, very much on high. I also think that this particular sky does suggest to me that if you are a student, if you are a university student, if you have a test to write, this is a good time to rewrite something. So the chance to rewrite a test or to have another shot to get a better grade may come up for you as well, especially considering this Mercury retrograde, which will give you a time to reconsider and do much better in the second try around. For those of you who wanted to travel, to return to a foreign place that you connected with before, you may be surprised to find that that opportunity does present itself to you now. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we have got some really passionate energy playing out in general, but also for you as well. We've got this new moon happening in your opposite sign. I spoke about this in the monthly love-focused horoscope for your sign, so you are going to want to have a look at that. It does suggest a brand new beginning in the context of love fresh chapters, fresh opportunities where they're needed as well. You add to this Venus standing across Pluto, and to me this says passion all around. So this energy is truly, really passionate. It's about feeling fate taking over in your attractions as well. Feeling like you need to recognize where it is that you have control and where it is you don't. That becomes especially relevant for those of you who are in an established bond. Having to think about the fact that there's this other person and they have a will of their own, they're making their own choices, and you've got to find a way to accept that and to navigate that and not take certain things personally as well. Big part of the lessons that come up whenever you're in an established partnership. What I really like about this week for you as well is that there is a part of you that is stepping up and taking ownership for where you want to go financially. So it can be this week that there might be a little bit of financial pressure on you. Maybe, I'll be honest with you, there may be a few of you out there who feel like you're doing a little bit of scrambling, trying to make some money happen, trying to pay a bill or trying to make some prosperity happen for yourself. Again, a big lesson for all of us this week is to do your best and surrender the rest. Do what's in front of you to do and turn the rest over, knowing that things will fall into place exactly as they're going to. And this is about ultimately recognizing what moves are going to help you create prosperity, not just now, but for a very long time ahead. It's like you can see the way. You can see the way to create great wealth. And now it's about accepting that there is a path and it is up to you to walk it. And if there's anyone who's good at taking ownership for what needs to be done now to create significant change, it certainly is you. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we have got the sun standing across Saturn in your sign, making it a truly important time, a big time for you. Lots of truth serum in the air for all of us, but for you it reaches right to the heart of you. Where is it that you haven't been honest with yourself? Where is it that you've been refusing to grow up? Where is it that you haven't been taking responsibility where you know it's yours to do? This will be that moment. Now, those of you born in the first days of your sign, in the very early days of your sign, are going to be feeling this energy more, but every one of your sign will be experiencing this energy as well. And as I said, this is truth time, grow up time. And wherever it is, if you are one of those people who has been taking ownership, who has been stepping up and living up to your potential, this is going to be a time when you really feel like, okay, you want to make the most of the moment. You want to make the most of this time. You want to keep moving forward. This can be a time when you in some way are validated that you are moving towards tangible results. There's an affirmation that comes through that you are establishing something meaningful and that matters. That's if you've been honoring your Saturn, if you've been doing the grown-up thing, if you've been doing the right thing. But where it is that that hasn't been taking place, which does happen for a lot of people out there, where it is that that hasn't been taking place, this like sort of moment of truth can be one that feels very, very dramatic, or feels very important, or feels like a bit of a wake-up call that you didn't know you needed, or were really enjoying that daydream that you were in. This is you really having a very strong and important and potent look at yourself, and from there deciding your best way forward. Now, for some of you, this is going to manifest in love. It's a serious week at love as well. I will always be honest with you. This is truth time in love as well. So where it is that you've been with somebody for all the wrong reasons, you've just been sort of going along with the situation because it's easier than actually either being honest with yourself or being honest with them or making a choice, this week isn't going to let you do that anymore. So if something with a partner's been bugging you, it's going to come to the surface now. You're going to have to talk it out. You're going to have to work it out. Where you have been behaving in ways that aren't completely fair and ethical, also, you are going to have to talk it out. You're going to have to work it out. Where it is that you have felt that you haven't been getting what you want in love, whether it's in an established partnership or your desire to meet somebody new that you can connect with meaningfully, this is going to be you being really honest with yourself about why, what's going on, and working on those levels to actually open yourself up to greater love as well. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This is a very important week for all of us in our own way, major emotions coming up. And you, in many ways, are right at the center of it. And this is largely because we have got Venus standing across Pluto, with Pluto in your sign, so lots of strong emotions being kicked up, along with a new moon happening in the romance part of your sky. And so I look at this, and to me, this says strong attractions all around. Now, all of us are going to be experiencing these very strong pulls of fate, love asking us to change in ways that might not always feel comfortable, asking us to dig deep. For you, this becomes that much more pronounced, becomes that much more important, becomes that much more heightened at that. And so if you can embrace this moment now, which I think that you can, and I think you will quite well, you're going to find that love, or your desire for love, changes you significantly, shifts something within you, moves you deeply as well. There's something taking place here now for you that does suggest to me that you are moving your life in a powerful direction, in a purposeful direction at that, and love likely is going to, whether it's attraction, whether it's in an established bond or with somebody new, your desires are getting kicked up. And because of that, you are re-examining so many areas of your life, having a good look all around, having a good look of what's happening inside on levels of energy and psyche and heart, but also having a look at how things are playing out in your material realm and where it is that the reality is matching what you say you so want. Now, there's only one caveat I do want to say here. For some of you out there, as I said, this energy is going to work out in terms of love. It's almost as if I see you wanting something. It might be that, and I got to say, some of you out there, and it happens, right? All of us at some point or another might go through periods where, the universe wants us to hang out by ourselves for a little while, right? Get to know you, learn to love you, be good with you. And from there, be more open and prepare for the next relationship. And sometimes it happens that people end up hanging out by themselves for a really long time. And I do think that for some Capricorns out there, this could be, if you've been hanging out by yourself for a while, somebody shows you a little bit of attention, flirts with you a little bit, shows you a little bit of attraction, and all of a sudden all this stuff gets kicked up, all these passions, obsessions, all this stuff starts getting kicked up. And you're like, oh my God, how am I so into this person? And what's going on with me? It might not even really be about that other person, right? It might be, you do have this new moon there suggesting new beginnings, which is great, but you've got to let those beginnings happen. You've got to let them stay in that space of beginnings by keeping it light. Now, that's going to be the hardest thing to do right about now, but just recognize that when some really strong feelings for a few of you might kick up right around now, be patient with yourself and be patient with whatever situation you are in. Things can change. Life is always going to move you towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. And you can be patient with it. If it's right, you can be patient with it and have it manifest more organically without you feeling like you need to do all the work. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we have got this new moon happening at the very base of your sky, a part of the sky that represents home and where you feel at home as well. It has to do with the strength of the ground on which you stand. Now, keep in mind that what we also have happening here is a Mercury retrograde happening in a very romantic part of the sky for you. I've been talking about this as we've been going along week to week. I talked about this in the monthly horoscopes as well. So here's the thing with this. Mercury is retrograde. It's usually not a good time to initiate, brand spanking new things. Not a good time, as I recently did an FAQ, to sign contracts either. Having said that, we do have this new moon happening at the base of the chart, which suggests that you are going to be thinking about your home and what you want to do and where you want to live differently as well. Now, this can be a good time to go back and consider a place that maybe you had sort of brushed to the side before, that you had thought, okay, no, that's, you sort of decided, no, I don't really want to be there. And then now if you're thinking, you know what, maybe I should have a look at that place again, this could be a good time to do just that, to go and have a look at that place again, so that you understand why it is that either you said no, or you understand why it is you said yes where you did, and now you want to say yes to something else. Also, a good time for you to consider because of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is good for anything, including renovations, right? renovating. I know that's not right, but I mean, grammatically speaking, but really like changing things up in your environment. This is a really good time to do that. And especially where it comes to repairs as well. So wherever it is, especially on a home level, that things need to happen, you might be surprised at how things can come up and how things can be resolved very quickly right about now as well. Now, what we also have happening, as I said, this very romantic sector of the sky is getting this Mercury retrograde. You add to this some very hyped up energy this week as well, with the sun in that same part of the sky standing across Saturn. As I've been saying to you as we've been going along, when Mercury retrogrades in this part of the sky, if you change your romantic status significantly, it tends to not stay that way. And sometimes messages can get mixed as well, given this particular sky as well. So if you break up with somebody, you might not stay broken up. This could be, you getting some news that ends up being really hurtful or feeling kind of unsure about things. That could also happen under this particular sky. If you think back to what was happening in June of last year, we didn't have exactly the same sky, but some of the stuff that's happening now is reminding me of some of the things that we were experiencing during the Mercury retrograde that was taking place right around that time as well. And so it might be that themes from a year ago will come up right about now to be finally healed or let go of, or resolved as well. And it also could be some, as I said, some really strong feelings can get kicked up, all part of the learning. My advice always, and especially for you an air sign, is talk it out and be patient. We're all going to need to be really patient with each other right about now. If you break up with somebody, you might not stay broken up. If you meet somebody, you might not have a full realization of what they're really about. And I have seen this again and again, in particular in this guy. You might meet somebody and you think, oh no, this person is all wrong for me. And I would say, okay, if you're feeling that way, that's fine. Now, give it a little bit of time. Give it until late June. Maybe strive to reconnect with that person in late June in some way, and life might bring that person up for you again in late June, because it might not be what you think right about now with this particular sky, and it might be that that person might work out for you quite well in the fullness of time at that. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we have got Venus in fellow water sign Cancer standing across Pluto. We've also got this new moon happening in a very talkative part of the sky for you, communicative part of the sky for you. I look at all this and it suggests to me that romance will be very high for you in particular. Now, all of us are going to be experiencing some pretty intense romantic energy. You certainly will be experiencing it that much more than other signs. I think all the water signs actually will be experiencing quite intense romantic energies playing out here. And this is just a really strong romantic attraction to somebody. Now, like your opposite sign, this may play out in the context of a friendship, where a friend is, all of a sudden expressing some interest. You're not really sure what to do about it, or you're feeling a strong attraction to a friend as well. Pace yourself, okay? Mercury's retrograde, so pace yourself. But romantically speaking, it's a very strong romantic time for you. If there's any issues in your current love that haven't been discussed, that need to come to the surface, this is a time when they will do just that. But this also can be a time of powerful flirtation, even just flirtation, innocent flirtation. Now, you decide how far you want to take it, but this can be a time when a flirtation really ends up being a game changer, changes a lot of things for you, helps you see yourself and where you are in love and otherwise, and serves as a catalyst for much more meaningful change at that. What we also have happening this particular week is Mercury is retrograding at the very bottom of your sky. Saturn at the very top of your sky, speaking to the sun at the very bottom of your sky as well. So matters of home are going to be getting your attention. This is, when you have so much energy at the bottom of the chart, particularly Mercury retrograde, it's a great time for repairs, a great time for renovations all around at that. Not a good time for you to be moving. Really not a good time to be going somewhere new necessarily. However, if that should happen, if you end up having to be somewhere new, just trust it, right? Your life is going to show you ultimately where your learning is, where your lessons are. But just know when you go into that space, I would use this energy. If you end up having to be in a new energy anyways, you might not actually last there as long as you think. But even so, if any issues come up, it might be, and I would do this as soon as possible, look if there are any repairs that need to happen, what renovations need to happen, and start moving in that direction. That way you're utilizing this energy that much more to your advantage. Well, I will stop there. Thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.